everyone, welcome back to Mesa YouTube channel. Today we are talking about something that can truly transform the way you learn. Whether you are cramming for an exam, learning a new skill, or just curious about how to study better, this video is for you. I'm going to share 6 powerful study techniques that will help you with your study. The first one is spaced repetition, active recall, the Pomodoro method, the Feynman techniques, the linear system, and 2 study frameworks, which is PQ4R and SQ3R. I will explain each techniques in a simple terms, give you example, and show you how to apply them to your studies. So let's dive in. The first one, let's talk about spaced repetition. Imagine you are trying to memorize a friend's phone number. If you repeat it over and over, you might remember it for a while, but chances are you will forget it in a few days. That's where spaced repetition comes in. Instead of cramming, you spread out your review sessions over time. Maybe you look at the number today, then again in 2 days, then a week later, and so on. Each time you review, it's like giving your brain a little nudge to keep the information alive. This technique works because it fights against the forgetting curve, a concept that shows how quickly we lose information if we don't reinforce it. Tools like Anki and Quizlet can help automate this interval, so you don't have to keep track manually. Think of it like a workout for your brain. Be consistent. Spaced effort makes your memory stronger. Now let's move on to active recall. This is all about engaging with the material instead of just passively reading or highlighting. For example, instead of reading your notes over and over, close your notebook and try to explain the key concept from your memory. Or quiz yourself with the questions and see how much you can answer. Why does this work? Because it forces your brain to actively retrieve information, which strengthens your ability to recall it later. It is okay if you get it wrong for the first few times. Struggling to remember something actually helps you to learn it better in the long run. Pair active recall with spaced repetition and you've got a super effective combo. So remember that learning happens when you challenge your brain, not when you are just rereading. Next up is the Pomodoro technique. If you ever feel like your focus starts to slip after a while, this method can help. The idea is simple. Work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. This short focus session make a big task feel more manageable and keep you energized throughout the day. Here's a pro tip. During your breaks, step away from your desk, stretch, grab a snack, or just rest your eyes. You will come back to your next session, feel refreshed and ready to go. Some people like to tweak the timing, maybe working for 15 minutes with a 10-minute break. Finding what works best for you and stick to it. The key is to stay consistent and to keep those distractions at the bay. Next is Feynman technique. It is one of my personal favorites. It's named after physicist Richard Feynman, who believed that if you can't explain something simply, you don't really understand it. Here's how it works. Pick a topic you are trying to learn and pretend you are teaching it to someone who knows nothing about it. You can even use a piece of paper and write it all down. As you explain, you will quickly notice where you are getting stuck. Those are the areas where you need to go back and review. Once you got a better grasp, try explaining it again, but this time, keep it simple. No jargon, no complex terms, just the core ideas. If you can do that, congratulations, you have mastered it. Now, let's talk about the linear system. It's like a personalized upgrade to spaced repetition. You use flashcards and sort them into different boxes based on how well you know the material. For example, cards you get right go into a box that you review less often, while cards you struggle with stay in a box you can review more frequently. Here's an example. Box 1 might be reviewed daily, box 2 every 3 days, and box 3 once a week. The linear system makes sure you focus on the stuff you don't know well while still revisiting the things you already learned. It's efficient and helps you prioritize your time. If you are using digital flashcard apps, many of them have linear-based system built in, making it even easier to get started. Next up is PQ4R, where P is stand for preview, Q is question, and the 4R is read, reflect, recite, and review. Think of this as a roadmap for reading comprehension. Start by previewing the material scheme through headings, subheading, and summaries to get a sense of what it's about. Then turn those headings into questions. For example, if you are reading about the cause of anemia, ask yourself what caused it. As you read, look for answers to your questions. Once you've finished, reflect on what you've learned. How does it connect to what you already know? Next, recite the main point out loud or write them down. Finally, review the material periodically to reinforce your understanding. PQ4R is a great for textbook and dense reading material because it keeps you actively engaged. Last one is SQ3R method, where S is stand for survey, Q is questions, and 3R is read, recite, review. It's similar to PQ4R, but it's a bit simpler. Start by surveying the material scheme, survey it to understand and structure. Then create questions based on the headings and subheading. As you read, look for answers to those questions. Afterward, recite what you've learned, summarize it in your own words, or discuss with your friend. Finally, review the material regularly. This method is perfect for students to tackling heavy reading assignment as it helps break the content into manageable steps while keeping you actively involved in the learning process. So, there you have it, 6 powerful study techniques to level up your understanding. You don't have to use them all at once. Start with 1 or 2. Experiment and see what best works for you. Remember, the key is consistency and making this technique a regular part of your study routine. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips like this. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use as a study boost. Thank you for watching and happy studying!